good evening and a warm welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. And tonight, this week carried with it a lot of activity, but one of the things that we did not want to go unacknowledged by this show is World Teachers Day. And we know the day ran under the theme, Teachers Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future. In the last couple of months, schools have been out. They were closed in March to decongest high population centers and minimize the spread of COVID-19. Teachers were out of work and many had to find alternative sources of income. It's been a hard couple of months for them, but there were harder days even before then, and it's really been hard for teachers most of the time. Tonight, we look at just how important teachers are, and we look at it from a personal journey and one educator's gratitude for another educator who did not give up on him. Dr. Lawrence Muganga is in the studio. He's been with us before. He's an author, researcher, authentic learning enthusiast, policy and strategy advisor, and performance management specialist. He authored the book, You Can't Make Fish Climb Trees. Dr. Lawrence, it's good to have you.
It's a pleasure being with you here.
Yeah, and this time...
Is it the second time?
Quite a number of times,
maybe
actually.
The third time, right?
But you bring such experience that it's always important to have people like you constantly, giving us this information. But today you're here in different shoes. You're not the expert, right now.
Yes.
Today you're taking us back in time. You're a student once again. So, but before we even actually get into a conversation, I know that you are a teacher yourself. You are a lecturer. Yeah. So I wanted to, first of all, acknowledge you and to just say we see you and we see the role that you play, you and thousands and millions of other teachers out there.
Thank you very much. Tell
me about growing up and going to school in rural Uganda in the 1980s. I don't know, was it 80s, 70s?
Yeah, 80s. I wish it was 70s.
Okay.
Life would
in
have
the
been
1980s.
better for me now.
What 80s. Was it like?
80s, so it was tough. I would tell you that what made it tough, my parents came to Uganda as refugees, right? 1950. So that means they had to figure out how to live in the country. So with kids, and they have nowhere to start. So now later on, I get to be born as well. And time to go to school for me was late 1980s. So, but they were poor. They didn't have the money to put me to school. So you would be amazed or surprised that sometimes they used to sell chickens, they used to sell rabbits. I owned rabbits, so I used to sell some of those. And thereafter, of course, they got some few cows, so my mother would sell ghee, cow ghee, to get fees for me. So it was very, very, very tough.
So you said they came as refugees. Which part of Uganda did they settle?
Initially, they settled in Mbarara.
So you grew up in Mbarara?
No, I was not born yet.
Okay. So when you were growing up,
yes,
where were you now settled?
In Masaka.
Okay. Where did you go to school?
So I went to several.
How many?
If you ask me from the start, from the word go to now, I should say I went to, without university, I went to 7 schools. 7 schools? Yes.
Okay. What was it like getting into school? Yeah.
So let's even start, of course, some people are so fortunate that they went to kindergarten. So I never went to kindergarten. So I dived in straight away in second term of primary 1. So that means, you know what that means, and I didn't know how to write, I didn't know how to read. So, and you found some other kids know how to write, know how to read. So I had to learn the harder way. And there was this teacher who did not even ask if I am a newcomer or if I've been there, and he just scribbled something on the board, and he asked everyone to write the same things in the books we had. Remember those days we had books like, say, Pick Fair, exercise books, Budget Musana.
Yes.
And then, but to try to be economize, like to use them like effectively. My mother used to cut them into half, so that I could have enough books to use. So now this teacher thinks I know how to write, and he had a small cane whoever has not written everything he put on the board, you have to be caned in the head. And I think I write about this person in my book who realized that they are going to cane me, this young girl. Unfortunately, I've tried to trace her everywhere. I can't find her. She had to hold my hand and literally like forced me to write. And by the time this teacher arrived, I had finished everything.
Wow.
You know? So that is how tough it was. But
you know, when you speak about joining school from P1,
yeah,
right?
Second term P1.
And I know that now to actually even get into a school for P1, there are entry exams and things like that that qualify you to actually start fully studying. So back then you just get into a school?
Yeah, P1, like, I mean, the way P1 is right now, I equate it to a torture chamber. Like they're torturing kids with exams. Why are you giving a P1 child an exam, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but back then, they just brought you in and you have to fit in. But trust me, in a few like weeks, it was like I was person who started with everyone. I don't know how I made it, but I made it. We used to live in a rural area in Masaka. It's called Miura, like Chamuli, what that's we call like Kalungu East something constituency, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. But my parents attempted to get me a better school, and my sister used to live in the city of Masaka.
Yeah. Right.
So I went to this school in primary 4. I had finished primary. Yeah, I had finished primary 4 and I'm going to this school in primary 5. So they subjected me to an interview, that assessment. I passed it for me to be able to go to primary 5. Now, what happened when my sister led me to this class where I'm supposed to study in primary 5, I was this tiny boy, very small, very tiny. I looked at the boys in this class and they were huge, tall. So I ran back to my sister and I told her, you know what, I want to repeat. I want to go back to primary 4. So she said, why are you repeating? So I said, these people, I can't study with them.
They're too big.
They're too big for me. She said, you know what, go for it. So I went into primary 4 again. I even thought, and this is the time I have, a chance I have for me to be the first in class. If I repeat these things, I'm going to be number 1. Did it happen? No. I was always number 3. But the most challenging time came when I was in primary 5. They introduced a policy that you had to speak English. And I didn't know how to speak any English whatsoever.
How were you going through the classes?
And I knew how to write.
Okay. So you could write English?
Yes, I could write English. But speaking English, like conversational, it was something that was so tough. And I could not sustain a sentence or a conversation of even a minute, right? Now, they introduced cards, the carding system, that if you speak, they call it vernacular, Luganda to be precise, so the class monitor gives you the card. And if you get it, then if you meet Josephine speaking Luganda, pass it over. At the end of the day, this card has circulated to almost 30 students. And whoever touches it, you have to be caned. Like they could arrange 5 teachers, and every teacher is going to cane you 5, that's 25. Right? So when I realized that, like, of course every day I would get this card, but I would move first teacher 5, second teacher like 2, then I run out of the door, like I get out of the class.
You know, you speak about that card. I think many of us who went to boarding school are thinking about either the disc or the rope or the stone or something that you had to wear around your neck for speaking vernacular.
My classmates knew. I developed a belief or a policy for me that if they give it to me, I'm not giving it to anyone. So if they were lucky and I get it in the morning, I would keep it till evening.
Die for everybody.
Yes, but I would pay for that. But now they realize that the carding system is not working. They introduced a bond, long bond. They put a string in it. So what I did when I got that bond, it was too much for me. I had a debt of canes up to closer to 120 something. So when I got the bond, I got it, I went to the toilet, I threw it in there, went back to the classroom, picked up my books, went back home to my sister. I told her I'm sick, so I'm not going back to school. So the following day, even gave me medication that I was sick, and took medication for nothing. I was not sick, but I feared to be beaten. So now, the second day I was sick, third day I was sick. So one of the teachers who used to really go home towards pass via our home, had to come back and ask, where is Lawrence? My sister says, he's sick. Then he tells her, no, he's not sick. He did ABCD. When everything had to burst, I had to tell my sister, take me back to my mom. And now my mom had moved to a place in Masaka still called Wega. So when they take me there, I don't want to go back to this school. When they took me there, the schools there was no school nearby that has primary 6. The closest school had primary 5.
Wow.
Yes, so you needed to walk closer to 10 kilometers to go to a school that had primary 6 and primary 7. Now my mom goes to this school, it's called Wega Primary School, talks to the teacher, that amazing teacher. We call him Master Francis Chiwewa. Now she talks to this teacher, and this teacher says, you know what, I can understand, bring him, I'll teach him alone. Can you imagine, I was in primary 6 alone. I was the students, if you want to say.
You were the class.
I was the class.
Yes.
Alone for the whole year, primary 6. Maybe you may not find anyone in Uganda who has ever had that record. So I think I hold it. Studied in class alone.
Did you have an actual class to yourselves, or you were standing somewhere under the tree having your class?
Of course, studying under the tree was the order of the day, because even the classrooms were very limited.
Okay.
So, but not me alone, even other students could go under the tree. But we had some few structures, right? But I could sit anywhere. I could come and teach. There's a board under the tree, and there's something sustaining it, and then he gives me books to read, and then he comes. I'll tell you. But here is what is very, very important. When it came to doing term exams, end of term, there was a school. It's called Kasaka Primary School. So Kasaka Primary School was way far, like walking there. Now, Mr. Francis Chiwewa could put me on his bicycle. He gives me a ride to the school. And
I should have brought tissue.
Yeah. So he gives me this ride to this school. I write my examination. Of course, you had to do 2 exams a day. He comes back in the evening. He picks me up, takes me back home. The following day, he does the same thing. And I finish all exams. But guess what? Most of the time, he taught me alone, but I do exams in this school with so many other students. When the report card came, I remember my position has never been below number 3. I used to be the 3rd or the 2nd out of those so many students. In a class he never taught, but he taught me alone, and I competed with them. I became number 2, number 3. That tells you the quality of the teacher he was. And I'm so indebted to him.
Take me on a journey from, this is where you stay, this is where you're having your classes from, right? How far, where would you say it is from here to where you then go to sit the exams every day on a bicycle?
So you would think you're walking from here, we at Serena Conference Center. So think about going to Mukono.
Every single day? Yes, on a bicycle?
On a bicycle.
What time would you set off to make it in time for
Of
exams?
course, as early as, say, 5 something.
5 a.m.
a.m.
So you get there, do tests or exams?
Exams, and then you have a break somehow, and then you go for the afternoon exam. You do that when you finish, and he has already come back, he's packed somewhere his bicycle, puts you on the bicycle, he takes me back to my mother.
So he would take you,
and then he has to go back to his home.
Go back to teach the other students in class, come back to pick you in the evening.
Correct.
Take you back home.
Exactly.
This was for what? How long? This is your whole P6?
Yes, the entire P6 counting the terms. There are three terms. Yes.
What was P7 like?
Now, P7 was another torturous kind of experience because now I pass. He does an amazing job. I pass now because now he doesn't have P7, and he's not going to. He advised my mom, you know, I've done what I can. Now he will have to endure. Take him to this school. He recommends another school. So where we had to walk closer again to 10 kilometers or thereabout, right? And then now that is walking at 10 kilometers is not an issue. But during you have to cross certain rivers. You are like the bridge, the makeshift bridge has been washed away by the heavy rains. Then you have to find your way to get across. So, or you use another further route that is still okay. So it was really, really very, very difficult. And I get this as well. My mom had to wake up very early at around 3 something to give me a push to a certain bushy area that I could not really take by myself, to put me at the trading center where I could meet other students. Then we start working together. So, and she could do that on a daily basis. So
I know that quite a number of people back then had it really hard going to school. But what strikes me then is Mr. Chiwewa and his resolve to carry you through, you know, even for that 1 year to get you to the place that you are. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're in the studio tonight with 2 gentlemen, 2 educators actually. But before I introduce them, tonight we are celebrating teachers, and we are celebrating them through one personal story of one educator who's taken us through his journey going to school and the sacrifices of one teacher that have gotten him to where he is. So Dr. Lawrence Muganga, thank you for taking us through your journey. But I'll introduce our next guest in the studio tonight, Mr. Francis Chiwewa, who was formerly of Lwega Primary School in Masaka. Mr. Francis Chiwewa is the master that Dr. Lawrence Muganga was speaking about. I'm curious to know as to how this reunion happened. Did you keep in touch? We didn't have phones 34 years ago or so. How did this reunion happen?
So we did keep in touch because there was no phones, definitely. And it's now almost, me seeing him, it has taken me closer to 28 years.
Wow.
Yes, 28 years. I've spent closer to 11 years looking for him. I've been trying, sending people to where he could be, and they don't have any contact. But thank God to technology and phones, like I tapped, I think again my book I talk about Saidi, right? Some other student he taught as well. And at some point, of course, he dropped out. He's now in Kampala. So I asked him, please, do your best. Get for me anything that can lead me to Mr. Chiwewa. We call him Master Chiwewa. So I need to see Master Chiwewa. He said, I will try. So somehow, miraculously, he gives me a number towards around January or February, towards the lockdown this year. Josephine, it was a huge relief for me.
What was that phone call like?
I wish I could have recorded it.
No,
you
don't tell me. Master Chiwewa, what was the phone call like? What did he say when he called you?
I feel very happy. I said, where are you? He said to me that I'm in Canada. I said, when are you coming back? He said, soon I will be contacting you. When he came back, we just met. But the problem with me, I had no phone. In the past.
Okay.
Until Joseph said, Francis, you are becoming primitive. You have to have a phone. Then he came with a small phone. I said, you keep it, use it until all your life.
And that's the one that Dr. Mganga then called you on.
Yes.
So what was that phone call like, Dr. Mganga?
For me, it was emotional. I felt like it took me back to the time, because the reason why I was looking for him is that I imagined, I thought about this teacher. Why did he go this extra mile to teach me alone in a class for a full year, to sacrifice his time, his everything, take me to these other, ride me on a bicycle? I was not his son, but he was a teacher, but he chose to do that, and he gave me this opportunity to continue school. Otherwise, I would have dropped out. So that, I felt like, you know what, I need to connect with him. I need to see him. I need to appreciate him. I need to thank him, because I am what I am, but because of so many things, but most importantly, because of him.
That 1 year.
But what he didn't tell you, when I took him to Kasaka Primary School, he was the best student in the exam.
But why did you feel that you had to help him go that whole way? He was just one person, and you had a whole class of P5 students and lower classes. Yeah. Why were you concerned about this one person?
The problem is, Muganga, by that time, he was coming from the poor family. And he was helped by only a single mother. Said, oh, help me, help me, help me. When I saw the mother asking me, I get sympathy. I said, okay, madam, I will help you.
Had you planned in your head, had you thought it through that exam time I'll have to take him that distance every day for exams, or did you just, act on sympathy now?
No,
let me teach him.
I took him because of sympathy. Because in my primary school, we had only 5 classes. Primary 6 was not there.
Would you do it again for another student? Have you done something similar for other students? Was his the only case like that?
Many. I have to try. I have helped many students. And many of them are like in Canada, Denmark, UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they all reach out?
Yes.
That's why you needed a phone.
Yes.
That time I had no phone, and I had no interest in the phone. But until Joseph said, you want to become a primitive, just buy a small phone and bring it to me.
Wow. And you know something he hasn't told you? He's just a good-hearted human being. Do you realize, I'm coming from a poor family. My mother would not even afford to pay fees. He would never really chase you to go home. Like, if my mother could get a chicken, he would bring it.
Chicken, he said,
yeah.
I'm a poor woman. What to do with my child? I said, go and bring it. Say, where's a small chicken? I'll take it. So that we can go on, we continue with the studies.
Has your mother seen him since then?
No, I want to take him there. He arrived yesterday from Masaka, so I have to take him to see my mom. And I have to
congratulate the mother. Say, thank you for producing my best student.
But when I was introducing you, Dr. Mganga, earlier, and you were a bit, you wanted me to shorten your titles and all your accolades, but I insisted on doing it because you're an author, you're a researcher, you're an authentic learning enthusiast, you're a policy and strategy advisor, and performance management specialist, and
an educator.
You're an educator.
And even now, a deputy vice chancellor for Victoria University.
Sure?
Yes.
Oh.
So he didn't know that.
You're just collecting titles as you go. Do you understand what you did, though, in just that 1 year of P6? That you gave somebody a chance at a different life that they possibly never, thought they could ever get into.
But I just let me tell you, Muganga was one of the best students one of the best obedient student at school. He was very, very obedient, and he liked playing football very much. I'm telling the truth. That's a game he liked best.
That's true.
You have quite a memory.
Yeah, that explains why he has no gray hair and I have too much.
What do you think about the teaching profession? I mean, wait, you're both teachers, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about the teaching profession?
It's one of the best, because teachers as the one teaching doctors, pilots, what else?
All of us.
Everyone.
All of us,
Yeah.
everyone in the country, all over the world.
Do you think that as a country we respect the profession as much as we should?
Yes,
You think so?
I think.
Dr. Mganga is shaking his head.
No. Let me tell you, just to pick it up from what Master Chiwewa has just said, you know, teachers, like even using the example of a doctor will do their best. For example, if they are surgeons, heart surgeons, for example, they will do their best to do that surgical procedure, and they give us life. And if it doesn't work well, yeah, that's what it is. But they will really get that heart, fix it. But you know what a teacher does? A teacher touches everyone's heart and mind for the rest of their life. That is a teacher, including that doctor, that engineer, that everyone. The entire human capital of a country lies in the hands of a teacher. But when you look at, are we giving them the respect they deserve? No. What respect do they deserve? They deserve to be facilitated. They deserve to be given a teaching environment that enables them to put in, bring their calling to life, to empower these students, to have this child who is hiding within himself, nurture them to become someone productive in the country, in the region, in the world. That's what they need. They need that support for. But what are we doing? In our situation, or even in the African context, we have very terrible education systems that when you look at what is happening at the end of the day, you have almost 9 out of 10 students who graduate in different higher learning institutions who end up not even getting a job in the first year, second year, fourth year of graduation.
Oh,
Do you expect those graduates to even ever respect teachers? They can't. Why? Because whatever they studied is not helping them at all. They are grassing somewhere in wherever they are. Their parents paid everything they had, sold land, sold cows, sold everything. But these students are back to sit with them. So when the parents, students, look at these teachers and say, what are you even there for? Why are you even, now that is where government has to come in. Empower them, create a good environment, good policies that make these people respected.
I think another thing that has totally damaged the profession, and just, you know, a lot of people are now thinking, man, if there's things like COVID-19, that means we are out of work for as long as is possible. How did COVID-19 affect you?
COVID-19 affected because many of our younger children have become pregnant.
Oh my God.
The boys have forgotten their studies, have gone what? Fishing in the lakes. Now they're fishermen, the younger boys.
Are they? Do you think do you think you're going to have? I'm sure you have a primary 7 class now, right? Do you think they're going to come back to do the exams? I know they're planning to open up next week or so.
We are going door to door, sensitizing exams that education is the best. Stop going to fishing.
Do you tell the stories of, for example, Dr. Mganga and say, look at Dr. Mganga. If you
I want to visit his
pay
school.
attention,
I want to visit his school. I need to go there. I need to
Yes.
inspire those kids.
Yes.
You know, I need to take a week or 2 to teach those kids too.
you should go door to door with him.
Yes.
In this period, just encouraging
I
them
hope
to
so.
come back to school.
I hope so.
Let's take another short break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
good. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're coming to you from the MTV Uganda studios. And Dr. Mganga is giving away presents to the master as we speak.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure there's more to come that he hasn't yet said. But if you could change anything about how teachers are treated in this country, what would you change?
Change? For me, maybe let me give my advice. I'm encouraging the parents to pay the teachers in time, especially private schools.
Yeah.
They pay them in time.
Okay. What are you doing with yourself now?
Me?
Yeah.
This time, at the moment,
yes,
we are cleaning the compound.
Of the school.
For the school.
As you prepare for, the reopening?
Opening on the 15th.
What were you doing during COVID-19 when the schools were closed?
We were digging. And not because there was no another job to do.
Okay. Dr. Mganga, did you acknowledge World Teachers' Day? Is it a day that means anything to you?
Essentially, this day is a great day. If you take away the needs, what should be done for the teachers to be able to do their job effectively and efficiently, it has to be a good day for us to reflect, to see and try to think how much are we contributing to our countries to develop. Like, what is our role? Where else can we improve ourselves as teachers to be able to be better teachers of tomorrow, right? So it is a good day. So did I commemorate it? The one thing I did for sure that I know is to thank deep inside myself, and if every opportunity I get is to thank every teacher that has touched my life. They are incredible people. They change the world. They are the oil, if you wish, of that engine that the country needs. So that's why I really, really beg all concerned people, stakeholders, to do whatever they can, do everything they can to empower teachers to do their job. Because their job, in the COVID kind of language, they are what we would actually call the real essential workers.
That's true. Mr. Chiwewa, during COVID, some of the stories that we were hearing were that teachers, out of work, started selling fruits on the street, started going to, parents' homes and saying, I can be your, house help, I can wash your clothes, I can, how did that make you feel?
And let me tell you, many of my teachers near my home are fishermen, are fishing. But now they told them, no, stop fishing and they go back to school and help the country.
But there is no money.
No money? The parents will contribute.
The parents in your community will contribute money and pay them?
Contribute. Are ready to contribute. They are ready to contribute? Yes. Because fishing, when children, when there is no teacher who is available, so we open, the children not study.
Dr. Mganga, where do you see the future of schools, teachers, all of it, learning for Uganda, looking at the shaking up that COVID-19 has done for our schools? I mean, right now, what are you doing with yourself, first of all?
Of course, for me, I had, this has been a wake-up call for everyone, right? And we have had to rethink the way we do things. The university I teach at, of course, has, at the University of Alberta, has the infrastructure to be able to teach online those courses, which I enjoyed actually doing. But not every teacher has gotten that kind of opportunity. So besides, of course, teaching, I've been really doing a lot of consulting work, in the sector of education. So I couldn't say that. Of course, COVID has been here, has hindered us. It was hindering, in so many ways possible, to do everything we wanted to do. But at the same time, for me, there is always a silver lining in everything. So I've carved out opportunities out of that, ended up writing, finishing up my 2 books. If you ask what I've been really keeping myself doing, finishing up those 2 books that I have to publish now.
You said you're at one of the universities
yes.
in the country now.
Yes.
What are you doing there?
I've been, given the work I've been I continue to do in the area of authentic learning, trying to make learning real, learning more practical, trying to make sure that learning is by doing, not by listening, trying to address the aspect, the statistic I told you, where 9 students, like graduates of every university in this country, end up not getting work, right? So that is very problematic. And I've been really working hard to develop an education model that solves that. So now I was approached by Victoria University to come and lead this education revolution within their university. So I am the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academic affairs. Now my role is to lead that, like I said, to make sure, when they say that tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, but involve me and I learn. That is the model we are trying to develop at Victoria University, where this business of coming from the University of Remembering, you just have knowledge, but you can't do anything with it, should be stopped.
I mean, I guess when you speak about involvement, we are all, if you're involved in something and you participate, it becomes a part of you. So it's not cram work, it's not all of the things that we did to get through school because we had to get there. Would you choose this profession again if you had to make a choice, Mr. Chiwewa? Yes.
Yes.
Why?
Because I want my country to get doctors like this one.
Thank you. But my doctorate, I owe it to you.
Sure, thank you very much.
100%.
All right, I'm going to close this show. Dr. Mganga, would you choose this profession?
Education?
Again, yes.
I chose it. I was an economist and ended up an educator. So no one can take me out of education because, like I said, teachers touch people's hearts and minds for life. And that's where I want to be. And that's what I want to do throughout my life.
We need more teachers, more doctors, more teachers. When they start when they send the page, we shall not get what teachers, doctors, and teachers, and other professionals.
Great. Dr. Mganga, your closing remarks?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to share this experience with my amazing teacher, Master Chiwewa. It is incredible. So I also want to end with 2 things. One, to appreciate all teachers out there.
Yes.
They do what they do. They may not know, but their job ends up producing people, the best people you see around the world. They are products of teachers, not schools, teachers, right? Now, and when it comes to parents, students, and everyone who is watching us right now, this is my advice, and to them, I had an opportunity and a chance to have people like Mr. Chiwewa to have confidence in me. That is the one-on-one support that you need as a student. So as a parent, look for institutions, look for schools that have teachers or have models, methodologies that touch your students, personalize their learning, making sure that they are giving them an experience, not the knowledge, because I always wish that all schools were not just about acquiring knowledge, But they were places where we learn how to live in this world.
Just to say that for a lot of parents, this COVID-19 period has been a wake-up call to just how much teachers do, when most of us have been forced to spend hours with our children and actually try to impart knowledge, some kind of knowledge, whatever kind of knowledge.
Welcome to the world of teaching, the teacher now.
that we have to impart. So it's been very, very interesting, yes. And I think we appreciate teachers more than ever before, trying to do the work that they do, trying to understand just how difficult it actually is to train somebody if you are not qualified for it. And you know, this whole discussion on teachers' salaries and all, it then defeats the purpose. I mean, my understanding as to why it is still a conversation we must debate about. I'm grateful for all the teachers, and I think a lot of us are.
Out to my fellow teachers out there, those of us who are sincerely and honestly trying to impact on the younger ones and bring them up in the good light. I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, because one day you're going to look back and you're going to smile at yourself because you're proud of what you did. You're proud of the children you've raised. So keep at it and never give up. My name is Nicole Winifred.
Dear fellow teachers, I want you to know that you are still seen and loved during this pandemic. I want to encourage you to continue doing your best, living as role models to the communities around you. Keep being creative to support your families and everyone around you, and protect your mental health and others' well-being. Please encourage everyone around you to keep safe and stay well. Thank you. Happy Teachers Day.
My name is Agawa Jocelyn, a teacher at Lahana Academy. I would like to thank God who has enabled us to go through this COVID. It has not been an easy time for teachers, but I know with God everything is possible. I would like to thank my fellow teachers who have thought outside the box and adopted to the new norm. I know it's not easy, but with God, everything is possible. Happy Teachers Day.
My name is Meka Kendall, and I'm a tutor. This season has been tough for us teachers, and I believe so many of us are struggling, trying to, diversify our talents and trying to figure out how to go about life. But I want to encourage you not to give up. I want to encourage you to keep living, and also to keep loving the children. Every child that is around you, that just show them love, and God will surely reward you. I also want to say that you are unique beings. You're extraordinary. I mean, you're just the reason why we have so many professional people out there. And that should be encouraging enough, knowing that the children you're raising, the children that you're teaching will someday end up as, our president, the doctors, and any other professional field that you can ever think of.
My name is Chahedra Musisi. I teach at St. Mary's College, Yasubi. There is no doubt that COVID-19 has greatly affected our profession. I bring a message of hope to all the teachers out there. There is no better time to rethink about how we reach out to our children than now. A great thank you to the teachers who have reached out. May these hard times teach us to be more resilient and to diversify our incomes. For I know one thing, the nation is because we are. May God bless you, for God and my country.
Well, that brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Coming up is NTV Weekend Edition.